Welcome to the Worship Keys YouTube channel. My name's Carson. Glad you're here. We talk all things music theory, gear, industry, and ministry for your worship keys playing. I want to thank Aerospace Audio for being a sponsor of this episode. They provide high-quality atmospheric pads for your performances or worship services. You can run the pads off of their app on your iPhone or iPad, or you can use their really cool Atmosphere foot pedal to where the sounds come out physically from this pedal, which is really cool. You can check out their products on aerospaceaudio.com. So now let's get into today's episode. Welcome to the podcast, man.
It's nice to be here. This is amazing. I'm having a surreal moment like literally right now. Man, I asked God for this gift when I first heard gospel music. When I was young, we used to get the Wild Gospel CDs. So I was hearing John P. Key, Carlton Pearson, Donnie McClurkin, and a host of other artists. And that music, I don't know, it just put me in a chokehold forever. And so I just grew up listening to that. My father sang in church. My mom, not so much. She was a secretary. But I was always enamored with the organ that sat in our church. When I was growing up in Memphis, our family's church was New Zion Missionary Baptist Church, so I grew up Baptist. And there was this organ. I was a lady that played the organ, and I always wanted to just push her off the seat and play the organ. To be honest. And so that's where like the love of it, man. It's a love story, like music and myself. Yeah. For me, like it's a love story. And it's just something that my first keyboard was the light up keyboard from QVC.
Oh, wow, really?
My mom bought that. That's how it started.
Wow.
I got a little lessons back then. I was probably 10 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It traveled with me, music just growing up. And then I got to college. And that's really where I wanted to take a gamble at it. So I became the musician for Love United Gospel Choir. It's University of Tennessee's gospel choir in Knoxville, Tennessee. That's where I went to college.
Nice.
And that's where the journey started for me in music. I sucked terribly during that period, like for anything. Like, don't go look for anything. Yeah. But that's where it really is. Like, when I hear chords, I'm literally like, it's just all a big love story for me. So that's where the expression comes from. It's passion. It really is passion. So when I hear like music today, and what I've been searching for my entire life is just the way to convey this little feeling in my chest. How do I get that here? Yeah. That's the journey, and that's what music sent me on. Like, I got this knot in my chest from hearing stuff that I fell in love with, and I'm trying to show y'all the knot, express it somehow. And it started to develop in chording for me. I became in love with chords, artists like Doobie Powell. He's probably one of the biggest influences, especially in contemporary gospel. I mentioned earlier Derek Jackson. He hails from Memphis, Tennessee. So we are all Derek students. That's cool. He, man, inspired us to no end. You just got to listen to him play one time. So good. And so all of that, just experiences, it became, I'm going to keep saying it, like a love story. I don't know why. I've not said that till today. So but it's really what it is. It's the rawest way to put it for me. So I chased it down. Like I tried to chase it down. Like I want that. I want that sound. And so I started trying to figure out what's making that. Texture, dissonance, emotionality in music.
So good. I want you to talk a little bit about this green keyboard. It could be many different colors because it acts like a green screen. Man, but this is the Nord Stage 3 that we're in front of. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. But tell us a little bit about why you painted your Nord Stage 3, which was a beautiful red, and what inspired the green keyboard.
Okay, I am not crazy, but I probably had a crazy moment because I painted a Nord green. Why did I do that? I don't know. I really don't have a great explanation for why I did that, but it was a beautiful time that I had with my daughter and her cousin, And it was their idea.
Okay.
Why did I take the advice of some kids? I don't know. But I did have this thing in the back of my head. I said, it'll be the only green keyboard out there.
Yeah, there you go.
I just kept, that's the only thing that settled me. It'd be the only one out there.
That's cool, man.
And then I realized, oh, it is green. I wonder, will it be able to do effects with the filters? So I started hitting it with the filters on Instagram, and sure enough, it would just change colors. So every video, I'm just like flipping colors. So it's cool.
And people are like, whoa, what keyboard is that?
Everybody asks, I'm like, it's a Nord.
It's
like, how many Nords do you have? That's probably the silliest question I've gotten. How many Nords do you have? We got 30,000 of them, because I just,
however
but yes,
many
it's one.
colors there are.
That's how many I have.
Yeah.
But that was it. It was literally just,
so cool.
I took a chance.
And real quick, how'd you do that? You just took the whole
I took this lid off. Just this frame. And it just comes right up.
There you go.
And then I taped this off and then just tried to paint over it.
That's cool.
Hit it with some spray paint.
Yeah. And you didn't damage anything in the process.
Yeah, and I will be honest, when I put it back on and I put the power plug in it, it didn't cut right back on.
Oh no.
I got nervous.
I
got nervous.
Yeah.
And I said a little prayer and I jiggled a little bit and popped right on. So I was like, okay, cool, we in there.
We're up and running. Very cool. Dude, thank you for being on the pod. You have played many years with Eddie James, which I have huge love and respect for. I love Eddie James. I first saw Eddie James and his team, his ministry, back in 2008, I believe was the first time, at the ramp in Hamilton, Alabama. I was a kid, almost a teenager, and I remember his team coming out there, and such a powerful voice. And then all of the musicians were just crazy good. And you joined in 2019?
Mm-hmm. 2019.
Yeah. So you played with him for a long while full time until you had your daughter.
Yeah.
And then you came off the road a little bit. But dude, I want you to tell us, first of all, how was it playing with Eddie James? And what are some of your best stories you have playing with Eddie James?
Man, playing with Eddie, to be honest, we probably bumped heads a lot. Prior to the gig, I was working for Verizon.
Okay.
And I was like, man, I cannot die in here. So I was like, I got to do something.
Yeah.
And I've always had this desire to travel a little bit and play. And I quit my job just on the spur of just quitting. And then my little brother Tyler was already playing for Eddie.
Really?
Yeah.
He's a drummer, right?
Yeah, he's a drummer.
Yeah, he's crazy good.
And he was the MD at the time, and he was like, bro, I need you. And I was like, I'm not gonna do it. He said, please. He asked me a couple of times.
Really?
And because I'm older, I have a youthful spirit, but I'm 38. And I'm 38. And I was like, I don't got it in me. I wanted to do something in music. I wanted to play with an artist and just basically scratch that itch that I've had. And me and Eddie talked, and the conversation shifted. And it got serious. And this is where it got serious at. I had been playing in church for years at this point.
Yeah.
So many churches. I wasn't burnt out per se, but I was numb. I was like spiritually numb, just playing for services. I'm always a church kid. I always want to be in church. Still in love with God, but not on fire. And got with Eddie, and that's when things just start to change. I don't know, the scales on my heart just start to fall off, right? I'm in this new environment. I'm primarily a gospel cat out of Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I'm in this new space. It's primarily contemporary worship, CCM.
Right.
And so I'm experiencing a lot of news. But one thing that I noticed it was just the chipping away at my heart. It had gotten so stony from the work. And so being in that moment in time with Eddie, he is more than a artist. He's a pastor disguised as an artist. I will tell everybody that. He is a walking revival.
Wow.
He's a walking revival.
That's a good way.
And it's real too. It's real. And I will be the first to tell you if it wasn't. It's real. And
tell a little bit about, so you know him really, we know what his ministry does. Some people may have never even heard of Eddie James, which I know I've heard of him for a while, but some people have never heard of him. Has tons of music out. He's been doing ministry for over 20 years, well over 20 years. But he has Eddie James Ministries is his ministry. Tell us a little bit about what he does. You talked about he's a pastor disguised as an artist. Now he's an artist. He's putting out music all the time. He's recording all the time, a lot of live stuff. But what does he do more even beyond the stage? Because a lot of people don't know. I don't even know what he does beyond the music, because music is such a big thing of what he does. But with the people that he brings in, whether that be dancers, singers, musicians, other people, what does he do with his ministry, man?
So there's this thing that I love, and it's called DNA. It's his Bible study. Eddie is this crazy. So we'll do an event. And that event, any one of Eddie's events, it's going to be a 3-hour event, right? Yeah. It's probably 3 hours, because he's going to talk, we're going to present. Right. It's about 3 hours. So we're going to be walking out of that church probably like 11:15. Okay. Right? Yeah. We probably get back to the hotel maybe 12, something like that. All right. So he's going to give you enough time to get you a little snack, because we're going right into Bible study. Really? And not coming out of Bible study till 3 a.m.
Wait, so after the event, then do a Bible study?
This man is crazy.
Really?
And it's called DNA.
Wow.
Yeah.
After any event, after any...
90% of them.
Wow.
Yeah, he goes right into Bible study.
Crazy. Yeah. Which is awesome.
It's awesome.
Is it like
it's incredible.
Debrief of the event, or is it totally separate? Is it just
separate?
It's just we're going into the Word.
It's whatever is in his heart to minister at that point. It may be a continuation, just depending on how the move was in the room, of course. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it's just his typical Bible study that's continuous.
What? So I want to make sure everyone hears that correctly. So y'all do a 3-hour. Y'all prep for the day. You come in, you do load in, you do sound check, you do a full service, and then it's like midnight. 12:30, 1 a.m. And then he's okay, guys. Let's get our Bibles out. Let's circle around and let's
do DNA. They know when, and I'm saying DNA because the people who know when they hear DNA, it's triggering.
It speaks to the love that he has for the Lord and for you guys. Crazy, man.
It is. Man, he rescues at-risk youth, high school, college range. And these kids, they get an opportunity to see the world, be in great company, and minister. And then not all the time do they come in gifted, but we get a chance to sit down with them and discover their gifts. And all of a sudden they're blossoming into whatever, if it's in media, if it's in apparel, design, and things like that, dance. And then he had a whole team leave just shortly, and they became Maverick City. So, like
Wait, say that again?
Yeah. So Joel, Dante, who else was a part of Maverick from Eddie? Joel, Dante, and there's one more I'm missing. So primarily, a lot of them came from Eddie.
Really? Wow. Wow. So crazy. Yeah. So what does that process look like? Does he just find out about these people, call them up, say, hey, you want to join the ministry? Or how's that work? How's that process work? How that happens?
A lot of times when we're in services, they're already aware that he's coming. Mm-hmm. You'll have parents who have children, youth, I should say, young adults actually. And they'll make them come. It'll be like their son that is wayward or whatnot, and come to this concert tonight. And I don't want to go there, but come. They come.
Yeah.
They come, boom, baptism of the Holy Spirit. Boom, hits them. Yeah. And then they on fire. Their eyes lit up, and they leave that night. Wow. The parents in the back say, "We already got your bags packed."
They already knew. They
already knew. Yeah,
that's amazing.
And they get in the van.
Wow.
And then from there, their identity is revealed.
How many lives do you think he's impacted so far? Has it been hundreds? Has it been thousands?
Countless. Thousands.
What do you think?
Thousands. It's tens of thousands.
Very great. I love that, man. I want you to share the story. I know you've been to Africa many times. Mm-hmm. In those events where there were literally over 50,000 people or so. Can you speak a little bit about your time in Africa and that story that you shared off camera? I would love for you to share it again.
Yeah. Okay.
Just how the presence of God moved and how that impacted your life, man.
Yeah. It was one thing I didn't tell you. I prayed. So I'm with Eddie at this point, and I'm really seeking for God, honestly, because it's new for me, and I don't quite know where I am in my own life. Mm. All I know is I've been in church for so long. I'm a church baby, and I just do the work of the church. I just play music, right?
Yeah.
So I've gotten to this point and where I feel extremely numb. And I said, God, I haven't even cried in the service. And I can't tell you when the last time I cried in the service. So I'm having this conversation with God. Like, I have not cried. I don't remember crying. I don't remember, like, feeling. Like, I'm always just playing, right? And so, boom. All right. I get the gig with Eddie. I think it wasn't even 4 weeks until I'm on a plane to Africa. And we are actually co-laboring with Christ for All Nations at this point. So that's a ministry led by Reinhard Bonnke. It was founded by Reinhard Bonnke, and it's led now by Daniel Kalinda. And so they do these huge crusades, hundreds of thousands, and it's primarily on the continent of Africa. So Eddie is the worship leader for that ministry, for Christ for All Nations. So I went with him as his MD, and fast forward, we're in the service, we're out on the field. At the end of that service, Pastor Daniel wants to pray for the gift of the Holy Spirit to fall. And he does. He asked me to stop playing for a minute, and I do. And like I said, we were waiting what seemed like forever, but in probably 45 seconds to a minute. And then at the back of the field, you just heard this just screeching cry. I can't never forget it, because it tore into me. And then the field just collapsed, and you just saw, like, literally just bodies collapse, crying. Wow. And everybody's wailing, and then I just see children crying, and then boom, it hits me. And what I asked God for, I'll never ask him again. I cried for the next 3 days. I started crying there. Daniel looks back at me to cue the music. I'm on the ground. And he looks back. He said, first time. I was like, yeah, first time. So I'm unconsolable, like on the ground, just.
Wow.
And that thing sat on me so tough. Like, I literally, for the next to my flight out of there, I'm crying. I said, I never asked him for that again. That he's a jokester. I learned that day, God does enjoy jokes. That's why we laugh. He's a jokester. I know he was laughing.
Laughter is good medicine.
Man, he fixed me. So that was that, man.
I think that's incredible, because so many times in church we try to create this moment through music.
Yeah.
And music is emotional, definitely, for sure, and it's a gift that God's given us. But I love the fact that he said no music.
Yeah.
Stop.
So you can understand.
And then all of a sudden, just boom, it broke out. There was no call to action that was like, come down here, from a motivational speaker, from a pastor. There was no huge buildup in the music.
Yeah.
There was nothing. It was literally the presence of God out in a field. Right? No light, no crazy lighting effect.
No, it was a very humble meeting for what humble can be. We got a stage there. Yeah. But I mentioned earlier, what struck me about the moment was I knew these people are probably living in like huts and stuff like that. They didn't have readily available access to like media, television. So that means they couldn't be influenced by especially westernized Christianity, how we are. They couldn't see that.
Right.
So you're getting to see a authentic outpouring of the Holy Spirit, untampered with.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's what touched me, I think, in that moment the most. I was like, this is the way the Bible described it. That's what I was feeling. I was like, oh, this is an Acts moment.
Wow.
And I don't want to cry.
Yeah, dude, hey, let it flow, man. That's amazing.
But yeah, that marked me. That moment marked me completely, and it literally took the stoniness away from my heart, and I was like, yeah, I'm ready now. I'm ready for it. Yeah. Because sometimes you're like, you do this for so long, you be like, is this real?
Yeah.
Like, especially when you get trapped in emotions of just doing the work of the church.
Yeah.
And so,
man, that's powerful. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I think that's incredible, and something special about Eddie James and people that team up with Eddie James is it's gonna be legit, or he's not gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I love that so much. I can speak from those experiences. I've had a few of those at the Ramp in Hamilton, Alabama, where he's been a part of those services. And there's just specific songs of his that I go back to in my own personal prayer time or worship time that I love that he wrote. And so it's just so crazy. Well, dude, talk a little bit about, I know you've talked a little bit about this. You're from Memphis. You talked about some people there in Memphis that have been very influential in your life.
And a lot of great players are still coming from Memphis. Yeah. And so, yeah, man, that high school, I was in choir of all things.
Okay.
But this particular choir was led by Galen Robinson, who happened to be a jazz pianist.
Nice, yeah.
He was a jazz pianist who loved choral music, jazz compositions, right? So we're sitting as high school students learning jazz and choir.
Yeah.
So after classes, you got the piano, and there's like maybe 4 or 5 of us who are pianists, and we're just playing the compositions that we sing because we want to hear it on keys.
Right.
So he was really like breeding jazz players.
Yeah.
One of them went off to be Janelle Monáe's music director.
Wow.
I was one. You got Chris Simmons, Chris Carter. They were, even my friend Amanda, she's the front of house engineer for LMA.
Wow.
Right now.
Wow. Yeah.
So we all came out of that class. So that's another huge influence in Memphis, and he left to go teach in New York somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a college professor now, working with different symphonies.
Incredible.
So we had access to that. He had us listening to incredible composers, and so I was influenced really early by strong musicians.
That's awesome.
And so that's a lot where they came from. Yeah.
So good, man. So good, man. Dude, before we are going to hear you play, and I want you to break down 2 or 3 songs. One's from Eddie James, and a few of them will just be more hymn-based, worship-based. And I want you guys that are listening and watching to see what Justin's doing on the keyboard as far as inversions, as far as voicings go. Sometimes, as keys players, I know once you get to a certain level, you're wondering, how can I keep things fresh? So I think Justin's going to be able to really give you guys some fresh perspective, especially coming into the Christmas season. There's one song from Eddie James' album called Glory, which you played on that album, right?
Yeah.
So guys, and I'll probably link it in the show notes in the description on YouTube, but the album from Eddie James called Glory, his Christmas album, I think it's his latest Christmas. He has a few, or maybe
that's the latest one.
But listen, this album is incredible. There were some nuances that I think you didn't like as much as being a part of the creative side.
I'm just tough on me. It was,
Yeah, talk about that whole. Can you talk about? Yeah, we're gonna change gears here, and we're gonna actually hear more of you play. You've been playing in the background as we've been talking a little bit, but we're gonna actually hear you play, see some notation, and really gain some insights from you today, which is gonna be great. But before we do, man, talk about that album. Y'all recorded it in Cleveland?
Yeah, Cleveland,
Tennessee. Okay.
So it's at Perry Stone's church.
Did you help arrange that? Now, I know you said Eddie James is a musician.
Yeah, he's
an arranger, very hands-on.
A very hands-on musician. He did give me the green light a little bit on that album.
Okay.
He did let me explore with certain things, and I feel like a baby. That was one of my baby projects.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
A newbie. I'm just really just playing with just chords and stuff that I hear and stuff. But yeah, no, that whole experience was crazy. He had us locking in on a lot of different stuff, and he gave us the green light on a lot of different things because I think we had earned it by that point. When this record was time. He's really a big disciplinarian when it comes to excellence in music.
That's good.
So,
and it shows on stage.
I had to learn him. I had to learn how to pace, learn how to fall back. And sometimes when you get to a point in your playing and you do have language, you become talkative. So you got to learn how to pick your spots. And so I had to learn that too. That was a learning curve for me. Going from gospel music more, and Eddie's, I would put him more in the gospel category than I would CCM, just because of his arrangement, his thinking on the music. It's chordy, and it's a lot more changes, especially when it comes from him. But I had to figure out how to take what I know and make it work. Not necessarily dumbing it down, but
so what you're saying is that you come from such gospel church world that Eddie James music is dumbing it down. Is that what you're saying?
In
Okay.
a sense,
I just want to make sure that.
Yeah, and some of his stuff now, some of his stuff, yeah, you can go. He can go. That's why I say I wouldn't put Eddie in the CCM category. But if we're doing covers,
dips
yeah,
from different.
yeah,
Yeah, there's slower ballads and stuff.
Yeah.
That's just 4 chords, right? Or a faster one that's just those 4 chords, and you're just going at done.
but it was just about being organized in your thoughts and placement. And that was me trying to learn. I wanted to learn placement. I wanted to learn how to play this music in an organized way that communicates, right? And everybody understands, especially if it's like some cover that's widely played by everybody. You don't want to be the one person that, oh, what song is that? So that was my thing, because we can get so in our brains because we are so musical and we want to throw everything in there.
Yeah.
And I had to learn how to be just more disciplined in the music. So that's why I hold back a lot, honestly. I try to hold back a lot.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So talk me through a little bit. When Eddie James has a song, a new song maybe, and he's introducing it to all of you guys, how does that normally transpire, and how do you guys normally go about arranging that after he's said the idea? What kind of happens? What's the process?
You're gonna get an MP3 from his keyboard or his drum tracks, and it's the funniest thing in the world. He's a musician, and he's gonna give you a full production track. Is whatever it is, and you got to make it make sense. And when he sends the stuff, it's like a pre-arrangement. I had gotten to the point where at least he had given me the grace where I can go in there and be like, I want this and put this in there. I can kind of play around with his arrangements, and I think I had to earn that from him. But yeah, so when it came down to it, especially the core of us, he called, what was our band name? Tabernacle. Short for Tabernacle. So he called us Tab. He said, I'll never call another band Tab. He's so silly. But yeah, we were an aggressive bunch behind him, I would say, especially from probably what he had been accustomed to in the past. We were a lot more aggressive and pushing in the music, and we would fight a lot on stage, where he would be like, keep it simple. We would be like, I can't hear you, Eddie. And then he finally,
you're playing the same set list or the same song or the same whatever at 10 different churches. So you're like, man, by the 5th one, you're like, let's change it up. Let's get some more syncopation going. What are y'all doing?
What are y'all doing? But yeah, he had finally gotten to the point. Well, it was trust. We had to earn trust, but we became more disciplined in our craft too. When we were showing that, this music is being executed at a standard that is what he's comfortable with. Yeah, he gave us the green light to play around and with embellishments and stuff in the music, especially when we got to the Glory record.
Right.
We were able to carry a little bit of that into that record.
Talk about other band members with you. Who were the people playing guitars, bass? Who were all the other? I know you mentioned Ty on the drums, Tyler.
Yeah, Tyler is the reason I was in the band. So Tyler was the music director prior to me, and I was working for Verizon. And at the time, and then I quit because I wanted to do something else with my life. Tyler was like, man, we need a music director. At first I was like, no, because I just didn't want to do it. I didn't feel like being on the road in that sense. I don't know. I was just being me. And then we had to talk with Eddie. And when I had to talk with Eddie, I was like, he's different. I knew about Eddie, but I had never met him. I had never had a conversation with him. Right. And I said, I like you. You're pretty solid. I like what you're saying. And I went out on the road with him. And so then you got Nick. Nick was on bass. You got Dimitri, who was on guitar. He called Mimi. He hates that. He absolutely hates that. So it was really the 4 of us for a period of time. We brought in E-Baby. He started doing rhythm guitar. That's Erickson. And Erickson went off, got married, had a baby. He had a replacement who sat in for him. And Shouty, Shouty would love to hear his name called. Nice. Shouty, shout out to Shouty. And so Shouty, he sat in Erickson's spot for almost a year. And he came on up. Like, we worked a lot with him on guitar. But we brought him up to speed.
That's good.
So, yeah. But yeah, so those are the cats. We made a lot of music, magic together. It was, I tell anybody, it's not about all-star band members.
Mm-hmm.
It's really about the relationship.
That's good. That's good.
It's literally a relationship. Most of the dopest bands are families, family bands, right? Because of that relationship. They spend so much time together. They know each other. We spent a lot of time together. We could finish each other's sentences. And so that happens in the music.
Right.
That's just a byproduct of spending so much time together. That relationship builds. You make mistakes together. Yeah. So I'm going to learn your mistakes. Mm-hmm. Right? And so all of that feeds into the chemistry. And we did some good work in that period of time. Yeah.
That's awesome, bro. Yeah. I do, before we hear you play here, we're going to hear you play very soon. But I do want to hear your thoughts on CCM and Gospel World. Like, there are many, like you mentioned a little bit of Maverick City, who's, has some gospel chops, but are playing a lot of CCM style. Mm-hmm. But I know I've been following you on social media for a while.
Okay.
And I've seen you share some thoughts on your stories and your posts and captions and whatnot. So I'd love to give you an opportunity on the podcast, man, just to share your heart and your opinion and with some insights on the gospel and CCM world and where the crossover's been and those blendings of styles and stuff, and your thoughts on all of that.
Yeah. That's a dope question, because I have been thinking about that a lot. There is a merger happening. That's how I feel about it. There's a merger between the two worlds, and it's occurring right now. This is gospel. It used to be gospel versus CCM. We used to do this rivalry thing on the internet. I was a big proponent of it. I did it out of fun, but I would troll while doing it. But it literally is a merger happening. Even in the music, you can hear it. So many gospel cats are just trying CCM out, and the vice versa. You're seeing a lot of different cultures and ethnicities pull on like styles that originated with African Americans and the black church and that style. So you're seeing a lot of that happening right now. Mm-hmm. And everybody it's becoming a melting pot. Everybody's putting their 2 cents into it. I even kid with the Hispanic community, because I always kid with them because they are on top of it when it comes to like gear, stuff like that. And I just love their flow. But that whole segment, they have been giving a lot of input into the gospel space. And so, boom, you're hearing new things come out of that. It's this one song, Siempre, what is that, Always With My Heart, something. But it's on the latest Mike Todd.
Okay. I was like, what?
So he just dropped a record, right? I don't know what to call it. I don't know what to call this style.
Yeah.
Because it's a high energy contemporary worship. Yeah. It's so high energy. And what we used to call CCM in the past, it originated with your Chris Tomlins and the Gators. I don't know, it goes back to that, right? It was way more simplistic. Today, CCM is, honestly, in my opinion, if I just were to make a statement, it's morphed. It has evolved. It's turned into something else. It doesn't have a name yet. I love it. It's pop. Yeah. It's pop. It's fusion. It's so much in it right now because there's so many people adding input into it. I think the world of it, because everybody it used to be, gospel music actually used to be in a bubble. It was a small segment. Right now we're in the buckle of the Bible Belt here in Tennessee. So for it, the impact of it is becoming global, the sound, and then now everybody's adding their input into it. Like I said, it's getting to a space where we can talk about what gospel music was. We're going to talk about what CCM was, because I don't know what this is now.
Yeah.
And so but I love it. Whatever it is, I love it. I want to add my 2 cents to it and shape it how I see it. How the Lord gives it to me. So
sweet, dude.
But yeah.
Love it, man. I love it. Well, dude, I think at this time we're just going to hear you play. I want you to first walk through the song of I think it's just called Glory.
Yeah.
On the Gloria
Glory.
album, where it starts off with the traditional, the great Gloria, and then Chelsea stay up, but just like in Eddie James fashion.
Oh yeah.
Everything turns minor.
Yeah,
Can you speak on that for a minute? What's your understanding of do you know why Eddie James loves the minor keys and modes more than anything else?
I have no idea. I'm pretty sure when he hears those chords, words come.
Yeah.
That's probably what it is.
What I love about Eddie James music too is pretty much every song, like points to Jesus, like exalting Jesus.
Oh,
everything is like the heart of who Jesus is.
Taught us, like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is the central point. Is the center.
Yes.
The focus needs to be Christ, right? And so that's his writing.
And he mentions holy almost in every song.
Yeah.
Even in the Glory song, it goes into this. There's a lot of call and responses with his songs where he's singing the background vocals are answering back, vice versa with other people. A lot of collaboration with every album and songs that he does. But there's one part which he does in a lot of songs too, but with the vocal stacking, and then he goes like the holy, and it's like glory to God in the highest. And worthy, and then it's like you deserve the glory, and so he's always about just God is holy, he's worthy, and then in that we're gonna give him glory. So I love how he took like the traditional Gloria song, Christmas song, but he made his spin to it, and I want you to just take us through that intro. And then the rest of the song, it just turns into a what you expect from Eddie James. Just the drums going crazy. It almost, some of it's like a war cry. The minor is like this war cry.
It's tribal.
Battle. Yeah, very tribal. Love it. And makes for great stuff live. Like drum breaks and stuff with the band. I bet you guys have a blast playing that live, man.
That Glory that was a challenge. I'm not gonna lie to you. When he first gave us that arrangement, I think that was probably the most challenging tune.
Really.
That we had to play. But Glory,
So man, let's get into that and show everyone what you're doing and take you through the whole intro.
Yeah.
And by the way, you guys definitely after this episode need to go listen to Eddie James' Christmas album because it's getting that time of year.
Yeah.
So let's do it.
First, the Glory record. That was my first live recording with Eddie James. That record, it was heavy. It had a lot of things in it, a lot of different styles. It was a big melting pot of just stuff. But it was great. It was good music, great lyrical content. I'm big on lyrics. Eddie is a master with a pen, and he can write you into the story. Like he's a master at telling a story, and lyrically, it's not too many people out there that can sit with him on that. And the way he tells the story of Jesus in the song Jesus, that's incredible. He's got like a Jesus Christmas version, and it's called He's Here. So that's him telling the story of Christ in the Bethlehem version. So, but we got this on Glory. He asked me to come up with an intro for it. It's based off the I guess that's it. I don't even know that. But I knew what he was talking about. And he wrote a song to that. And it's called Glory. So I was tasked with, he just needed an intro, something to get us to the meat of the song, the second part. And so I was sitting there thinking, I was like, all right, I just had to come up with something quick. I stuck with the melody and I just kind of reharmed it to get us through it. So I was just like, okay, cool. Let's do something like right? And then he was like, okay, cool. And then take it minor. I was like, come on, bro. So we did minor. And then I moved it. Then we go. So that's where that came from. But yeah, so it's a lot of chords. It's a lot of it's like this six. You'll hear that tone, this interval, the sixth interval a lot. You're gonna hear a lot of dominant sevens. You're gonna hear minors thrown in with like I'm throwing in like a tritone. That's where that 2 chord is coming from. I'm just getting right into it, I guess. And this 1 chord I'm reharming to give you that tonality. I don't know what I'm not the best at theory. I'll be honest with you. I'm glad he has the software going right now. You can read, you can see. But I know sound. When I look at these chords, I look at them from the standpoint of if I'm playing, and I'll look at all the notes. I know that in this chord, I've got an F, I've got a D, all right, I've got an A flat, I've got a B flat, another F. So I'm like, okay, the tones in this chord are borrowed from somewhere else, right? Primarily, we probably get most of this stuff from like B flat dominant 7, right? That's primarily what a lot of the tones are coming from. So I'm borrowing from that. I got that in mind as I'm just approaching this 1 chord, the way I got it voiced. I do a lot of borrowing based upon my knowledge of what I do in other keys. That's kind of how I navigate through playing through changes. In my mind, I'm always just borrowing from other keys and changes that I do in other keys, but when it fits the moment in whatever song. So let's go right back to the top of this. So melody, it's the first thing. So that was the goal. So I just opted to play this. I can't tell you why. The Lord gave it to me. But I know the melody of it works. And then we just had a 4 chord, but I'm resting on the 1. But you're just not hearing this, right? So it's rootless. I know it's there, and you feel it there. I just don't have to play it. It just don't need to be stated, right? Then reharm stuff. So this is one of those, when you're growing up in gospel, this is probably the first, what we call a fat chord, that they taught us. It was like this diminished chord with this pinch note, that dissonance. It was like one of our craziest chords from back in the day. And so I was like, it always comes back. And it's just quick to use if you're thinking about melody. I'm just using it for melody. Now I'm borrowing. This is obviously E minor. So, and I'm passing to the 3. That's going kind of diminished. But you're hearing that E flat. I like color. I really would have done this. I really want to do that, but that's too crazy. So you got to leave some of this stuff out. Back home. Minor. Now, why am I choosing this? The route I'm going is that's the route. So it wasn't major, but we just moving it, and then now it's moving this up to this A flat. So we're actually just borrowing from A flat major, right? So you can almost just think of it as like you're going 6 in A flat, 7, but it's reharmed. It's crazy. I know. I'll try to help you with it. So I got this G, E. I'm borrowing from the diminished chords, but I like to mix tones. I like dissonance. That's just me. It gets a little crazy, it gets a little weedy. But if you stick with me, I'm telling the story. Alright, so I just did. Basically, I'm going to play it a little bit more simple. Let's go. 6, 7, 1. And then I passed from the 6 in A flat to get to the 2. I played this chord. A gospel chord. It's really a diminished chord. You're just raising this tone here. And then I know it's based off the 6. I'll throw in a tritone over that 6 just for more color. And it's passing to a minor 2. And then I'm doing a 5-1-4. And then we get to this 3. Eddie loves this major 3. Yeah. Yeah, so whole thing. And that's when the track comes in. I did want to share this song because it's like literally my favorite song, but it's near and dear to my coach brothers and sisters. I'm coach, Church of God in Christ. So the leader, the founder of the Churches of God in Christ, this came to him in his time of prayer. It was just a simple yes, Lord. We call it the yes, Lord hymn. So, and I love this song because you can do so much with it. You can go so many different ways with it. I use it like a practice tool. I'll often like crank my strings up a little bit and just journey through it. I'm gonna try to show you some nuances that I pull out when I'm playing through this. It's really more gospel heavy. But it's always something to learn there. So, yes, it's really melodic. So first thing out the gate, this song teaches me how to chord properly. Yes. And I'm paying very close attention to the melody of what the voices would be saying in the moment. They'll be saying, oh, then they'll say, oh, yes. Yes, Lord, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, Lord. All right, so that. Let's go from 1 to the 4. Let's go to the top of this. So yes, you got to pass to the 2. Now immediately, I gotta stop right there. Immediately. Most people will play it this way. Yes. I hear that a lot. Cool. I'm not mad at it. But I'm like, okay, I'm really focused on like hearing the melody, what is, I would say, more appropriate. I'm not gonna say the most. I would say what's a little bit more appropriate for this style. Yes. When you hear that melody up top, yes, you want to try to keep it. Yes. Yes. But when you can only play from what you have in your language, it can limit you. That's why it's important to pour into the language that you have, so you have a little bit more to say, especially when it needs to be said, right? So that's the way I think about chords, music. It's saying what needs to be said in the moment it needs to be said. All right. Yes. I'm not really saying what I need to say here, because I'm right here. Yes, I gotta come here. And then the whole mood changes. It's a 2-chord. I can, yes. It's still, it's giving CCM. Yes. I need this. What is this? It's literally the 5 chord over the 2. All right. But I'm taking the 5 chord and I'm putting it in my left hand. So you got a whole A flat chord, the triad sitting here in your left hand, and I'm putting its brother right here. So you're getting just a strong 5 chord over the tone of the 2. And that gives a stronger melody. It pulls out the melody a little bit better. So when we say yes, we say yes. Now you got a lot of options here. All right, that's why I love this song, because it's so melody driven. You saw me go to this note. We say yes. So that is 6, B flat. The traditional way of the song is to go up to the 4. That's the harmony of it. All right. But this is a point where you can experiment if you got the language. All right. I like to use the melody as a point for where my key can go. So if I fall on a B flat note, I can dip in the key of B flat. So I'll go back. Yes, we say yes. Now we're in the key of B flat. Right? I'm borrowing from another key. I'm finna borrow again. We say yes. I'm finna borrow from F to get me back to the 6. We say yes. We say yes. So really what I'm using majors, a lot of majors, and I'm moving those majors. I'm going to give you a hack for the channel. I call it the 1, 2, 3. If you learn this in every key, it'll strengthen a lot of points where we kind of use this element. Learn your 1, 2, 3. Just right? If you can learn just that 1, 2, major, you see that major 7, what I'm moving is a C sharp major chord. That's all it is. And I'm moving up the scale of C sharp major. But it has different modes. So this is like a major 7. Now you're hearing that dominant. You get more churchy. That's when we get churchy stirred up, right? Right? And then when you want to get prophetic, you want to get a little deep. That's giving you deep. And it's all in where the scale is going, right? I got 3 different scales that I just chose from. Major 7, dominant, and whatever his app is going to tell you that this is. Right? But they all get you someplace. It's all language and it's all melody driven. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Right? So I'm using that. I'll use that in so many different spaces. It's unbelievable, right? Just that. When we go back to, but it may not be in that key, so I'll show you how it does. Yes, oh yes, please say yes. Here's a 1, 2, 3. That's a 1, 2, 3. But what this 1, 2, 3 is doing is the major 3. We're in the key of C sharp. I'm using F major. I'm choosing the dominant for this expression. I got pretty much 3 choices. Major, dominant, and whatever his chord tells you, whatever the app says. That's C sharp. All right, but I got those choices. But I'm choosing this one, right? To get me, it's a passing. This is all passing. It's a lot of movement just to pass. I get it. I understand it. It's the culture that I come from. Yes. Oh, yes. That's passing. Just to get to the 4, I went through B flat major. Say yes. Now I'm gonna go to my F. Actually, I'll go F sharp first. Down. And I'm turning it back to this 6. I walked up 1, 2, 3, and I went to the 4 of F, but I made the 4 of F minor. And that brought me back to my key of C sharp, all right? Because we know that B flat is minor in the key of C sharp. So you go back to that, that brings you back to your key center. And now you're just finishing out the phrase. Rehorn. Yes, Lord. Let the church say yes. Oh, yes. We say yes. Yeah, that's all that church does. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Like if you grab that, that's my gift to you. It's everywhere. You can use it everywhere to get you wherever you want to go. It's literally, I think of it like a little back alleyway. I can move wherever I need to go. If I need to get to the 5 really quick, I'm going to pass through the 2. but I'm gonna use a 1, 2, 3. It's just fast. You can hear it. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm at 5, right? If I want to use 5, 1, 2, 3 to get back to 1. 1. Yeah, that's probably, yeah. It's usable. Put it that way. Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for being a part of the Worship Keys. If it's your first time listening, thanks so much. Subscribe on YouTube. Got new episodes releasing every Wednesday. And Justin Patrick Ford, dude, thank you so much for being on the pod, man.
And thank you for having me. It was a blast. I'm humbled by it. For
Dude,
real. Yeah.
The pleasure is all mine. Y'all go follow him on Instagram, Justin Patrick Ford. You can check out more of this awesome green keyboard. There's one more question I do want to ask you, man. What's your greatest advice to any new keys player out there?
I've got this saying. I think when anyone hits me up, it's like the first thing I tell them, do way more listening than you do playing.
That's good.
That's just the first thing I tell every musician that I think I've ever given advice to. The reason is you're just training your brain to hear certain stuff, right? If you condition your brain and your ears to hear this stuff, then your hands is just going to try to find out what his brain's been listening to all this time.
That's good.
You'll end up on accident learning because you've rehearsed what you love to hear so much in your brain that you can't like shake it. And it's like you can't stop until I gotta play this one chord if I gotta sit here for an hour, but I can hear it because you've been listening to it so much.
That's good.
So the more you listen to the stuff that you love, listen to it religiously, go to sleep listening to it, and you'll wake up and then it'll come out of you in the music.
Well, dude, thank you again, and guys, we'll see y'all next week.